Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, streaming, TV, all sorts of good stuff. Special treat today, guys. We're joined, actually, this is the first time for a live John Campea Show episode. Kimberly Curran's here. Kimberly, how you doing?
Morning. How you doing?
It's so good to have you here.
It's so good to be here.
You've never actually been here for a live show before. This is your first time,
This
live.
is my first live.
Are you nervous? Are you scared?
I'm going to ask for forgiveness in advance. No, just kidding. No. You make it. It's such a great team here, so I'm excited. Yeah.
I'm so glad to have you here. For those of you who don't know, maybe for some of you guys who don't watch the companion videos, Kimberly's been helping me out for the last month on companion videos, and she thought she'd come in here today, so we are all blessed to have her here. Listen, guys, here's how today's show's going to go. We're going to break today's show into two parts. We're going to cover all the main topics and everything, some predetermined topics in the first half of the show. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. Now, how do you get a live comment and question on the show? It's really rather simple. Go into the description of this video and you're going to see a tip link, or you can click it there or just enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question on the show either right now or in an upcoming companion video, if it's appropriate. And of course, you'll be supporting the show at the same time. And all of us here involved with the show, thank you guys very, very much for that support. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get into a couple of off the tops here before we get into our main topic, shall we? And the first off the top we're going to talk about is this. One of the best and most popular video games the last couple of years is the Sony PlayStation game, The Ghost of Tsushima. I've always wondered if I pronounced Tsushima right, but I hope that I am. No one's ever corrected me when I've said it that way. Anyway, it was recently at the most recent Video Game Awards. It was nominated for Game of the Year, Director of the Year, I think Soundtrack of the Year, all that kind of stuff. It is a truly lauded game. Now, one of the other things that we know is that over the last little while, Sony, particularly their division of PlayStation, have developed an entire movie and entertainment production arm strictly focused on taking Sony PlayStation video game properties and turning them into narrative entertainment. And Ghost of Tsushima is getting that treatment. Now, this is coming at us from Deadline, who is writing that John Wick director, Chad Stahelski, is developing and is going to be directing a Ghost movie for Sony. This is what they wrote in there. Now, this is just breaking. This just came out this morning. Sony Pictures and PlayStation Productions are developing a film adaptation of the hugely successful action-adventure game Ghost of Tsushima, with Chad Stahelski attached to direct. The game recently crossed the massive milestone of selling over 6.5 million copies since its July 2020 debut. The game is developed by Sucker Punch Productions and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment, and centers around samurai warrior Jin Sakai, the last surviving member of his clan, who must set aside the traditions that have shaped him as a warrior to wage an unconventional war for the freedom of Tsushima. So this is coming out. Now, this is exciting on several levels. It's exciting on several levels and for several reasons. Number one, the action in this game. Now, I have not sat down to physically play the game myself.
Yeah.
I've just sat in a room with some buddies playing the game for several hours on end.
Nice.
The action in the game is incredible. Like, the action is fantastic.
Okay.
And the story is great. And the visuals are fantastic. So you take, and it's got, most importantly, for transferring it over to a live action movie, it's got great narrative. Not a lot of games have that, but it's got great narrative. So you take all of that, you put it together, and you bring in the director of John Wick into something like this.
Dude.
And all of a sudden, you're dealing with something that is potentially very, very exciting.
This sounds really exciting.
Now, Sony PlayStation, this whole new entertainment division, they've been big. We've got a Last of Us coming. Several other projects have already been announced that they're doing. This is a nice addition to this lineup. So me personally, I think this sounds fantastic. Question is, guys, what do you think about this announcement? Like I said, the news just broke this morning. I'm sure we're going to get some more details in the coming days. Of course, Chad Stahelski still has to get John Wick 4 shot and out the door first, but you know, they're going to then be moving on this movie, and I think it sounds great. Questions for you guys. What do you think about it? Jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. One more off the top before we get into our main topics here today, and that is this. I don't like TMZ crap. One of the things I don't like talking about on the show is like, so-and-so is dating so-and-so, so-and-so cheated. And I don't care about personal drama BS.
No.
I just don't care about it. But sometimes there is a story that involves, unfortunately, a celebrity's personal life that actually has direct impact on the movies that will get made.
Bleeds into it.
Exactly. Who will be in those movies. And so then it kind of becomes an issue that we talk about. One of those issues that has been around for a little while is the issue of, obviously, the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. I like to give this disclaimer up top whenever we talk about this issue, because honestly, I don't even enjoy talking about this issue, but is that I was not there for any of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's relationship. Unlike the 99.9% out of people who believe they know what really happened, and they're all completely wrong. I have no idea what happened. I was not there. I was not physically present, and I don't have a dog in this hunt, as the old saying goes. So I really don't care. However, as we know, a court decision was reached in the UK. Johnny Depp, of course, went to court in the UK and sued the newspaper, and by extension, Amber Heard in a way, but it was really against the newspaper that published basically her story. And the specific thing at cause that Johnny Depp was suing them over was the fact that they blatantly came out and called him a wife beater. Now, you guys will know that that court ran its process, and at the end of the case, the judge decided to rule in favor of the newspaper and against Johnny Depp, saying that the newspaper calling him a wife beater was factually true, that the allegations made therein were, in the judge's words, substantially true, and therefore Johnny Depp lost the case. Now, that's just a little bit of background. We move forward now. Johnny Depp launched an appeal and he has been petitioning the court to hear an appeal case. He wants to appeal the case. He thinks that judge's decision should be thrown out and that he should be granted an appeal case. So they've been petitioning the court for that. However, the appeals court has just rendered their decision about whether or not to give Johnny Depp a appeal, and they have turned it down. They have basically said that there is no basis for an appeal, that there's nothing in the case that happened that suggests that an incorrect thing was reached, and they ruled against him. Now, specifically, let's take a look at the appeals court put out a 15-page document, put out a 15-page document basically explaining why they were denying Johnny Depp's application for an appeal. Let's just jump down right to the last paragraph, where they basically said this. We would accordingly, this is the final conclusion, this is the appeals judges, we would accordingly dismiss both Mr. Depp's application for permission to adduce further evidence in his application for permission to appeal. Sorry, I guess I'm stuck in my throat. As we have said, it is not easy to persuade this court to overturn the findings of a trial judge on purely factual questions. However, we do not believe that there is a real prospect of it being prepared to do so in this case. The hearing, therefore, Nicole J., that's the original judge of the original trial, was full and fair. Once again, the hearing before Nicole J. was full and fair, and he gave thorough reasons for his conclusions, which have not been shown in even arguably to be vitiated by any error of approach or mistake of law. Okay, basically, so I have the advantage that I actually worked in law for a number of years. So let me basically
please break this down.
Let me tell you basically what this means. What this basically means is, number one, the appeals court said, we don't believe there's any reason to believe we would interpret the facts here any differently than the original judge did. Also, another big basis for appeal often is that in the original case, a proper procedure or a proper law was not adequately followed in the trial. Therefore, that can be grounds for appeal. However, the appeal judges said, we don't see there being any case to be made here that the facts will be interpreted any differently. Also, there isn't even any way to arguably say that there was any error in approach or a mistake made in law. Again, just that last line again, to be vitiated by any error of approach or mistake in law. Basically, it's this. Another set of judges who rank higher than the original trial judge have looked at, by the way, the original ruling that the original judge put out was 130 pages. And I guarantee you, all the people on the cancel Johnny Depp side and all the people on the justice for Johnny Depp side, ain't none of them read the actual judge's court documents. None of them read it.
If it's not an IG post,
No.
they
Both
probably
sides of them
didn't
just
read it.
listening to whatever YouTubers are saying what they want to hear, and then they just keep parroting what their favorite YouTubers say. But none of them have read the 130 pages document. So basically, now the appellate judges are saying, we've reviewed the entire thing. We don't see any difference in the facts. We don't see there being any mistake in law being made. We see no mistakes in procedure being made. So we deny Johnny Depp. So now the bottom line is this. In the UK, Johnny Depp's legal thing is now done. He has no further recourse. He's finished there. Now the attention, and we'll get to how this impacts the movie stuff.
Yeah.
Now this gets transferred to a new case that two new cases. He is bringing a libel case in the United States that starts in April of 2022.
Oh, dang.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no.
Dang.
No, now we got to sit through this crap for another year and a month. April 2022 is when this starts getting done. And then on top of that, Amber Heard has now filed her own counter libel suit against Johnny Depp.
Great.
That will have to then probably take place sometime after that.
Oh, great.
It's going to be very, very difficult after an initial trial judge finds the facts a certain way, and then a board of appellate judges all agree and see it the same way. It is not impossible. It is difficult, though. It's not impossible, but difficult to imagine that another set of judges viewing the exact same evidence are going to be swayed to come to a different conclusion. But then again, we're going to have to wait a year to find that out. So what does that mean for now? For now, what this means is that, Warner Brothers, I think there's going to be a number of studios that may be intrigued by still working with Johnny Depp, who's an incredibly gifted performer.
Such a great actor.
Such a good actor.
Yeah.
I think they are now going to probably be more hesitant now that another level of the court has said, we think the facts point against you. Now, this could all change in April of 2022. Well, that case will probably be like 4 or 5 months. So maybe by summer of 2022, we will actually have some sort of answer. We will get some sort of answer. But for now, I think any big resurgence for Johnny Depp, and then what happens with Amber Heard as well. I don't think anybody's going to move on Amber Heard. Now that another court has said, we actually believe the account of Amber Heard, all that kind of stuff, it's going to be difficult to see how that changes. So what does this mean for Aquaman 2?
I was just going to say, when is Aquaman 2?
Yeah, that becomes the big thing.
Come out, yeah.
Warner Brothers has stood in Amber Heard's corner up till now. And again, remember, I have no dog. I don't give a crap. I was not there. They, quite frankly, from what I've seen on the surface, they both acted like asses. But whatever. I wasn't there. Warner Brothers has stayed standing in her corner. Zack Snyder has stayed in her corner. Walter Hamada has stayed in her corner. And so with this now ruling by the appellate court, there's been a lot of whispers and things that they were going to remove Amber Heard. I don't think they will. I think this settles that they are not going to take Amber Heard out of this movie. As much as some people have been screaming for it, I don't think they will, because there's nothing factual or court adjudicated at any rate.
It's just opinions right now.
What's that?
It's just opinions.
It
Honestly,
comes down to opinions, except for
things have
the people
come
in the
out,
courts.
But yeah, if it's like if she was found guilty or something, or if it was something like super solid, that you could base like, hey, this legally happened, so boot her from the movie or boot him. And
see, here's where it gets really complicated.
It's messy.
That a lot of people on both sides, on the cancel Johnny Depp side, on the justice for Johnny Depp side, they get a fragment of information and they think, well, this fragment of information, but they didn't read the 130-page ruling by the original judge that puts much different context on those things. And that's a big problem with our society in general. Everybody wants to read a 140-character tweet.
Yeah.
Nobody actually wants to hear all the information. So I don't know. Again, the bottom line for me is why this is interesting is I think, I don't know. Nobody from Warner Brothers has told me this. I just think this probably puts an end to the discussion about, is Amber Heard going to be removed from that? It didn't look like she was going to be. And now that another court has said, we actually believe the information favors her, the facts favor her, it sounds like I don't see any reason why a studio would back out of that. Now, what happens after 2022? Who knows? But it's an ugly situation. It's an
ugly situation. And we feel like we have a stake in it because that's my favorite movie.
Yes.
And she's my favorite actor and he's my favorite actor. And you don't understand, I've loved him since I was 16. And we feel like we have history, invested history. And that's why we care. But it's hard. You're judging someone on their worst day.
Yeah. And by
all
the way,
of us
and we're trying to judge something that we were not there to witness.
We weren't there.
We weren't there to witness for either of them.
So it's hard because there's a bit of interest in terms of what I appreciate and what I love and what I want to see. That's where the interest lies. But then we give ourselves permission to go, you shouldn't have done this in your marriage. It's like,
anyway,
that's not my tea. I'm not going to sip that.
It has been and continues to be and will continue to be an ugly situation, guys. Question is for you. What do you think this is all ultimately going to lead to? Do you think the result of all this is going to be, yes, definitively, Amber Heard is going to stay in the role of Mara as they move forward into Aquaman 2? Do you think that might change? How do you think this is going to shake out theatrically? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's now move into our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here in the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you think we should have as a main topic here on the John Campea Show, go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's totally free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get into main topic number 1. Kimberly, what is our first main topic today?
All right, John, our first topic comes from Steve Calderon. He says, Sony is developing another Bewitched movie. I love watching the classic TV series. However, I was very disappointed with that 2005 movie. It's a shame because I thought Nicole Kidman was perfectly cast, but Will Ferrell was awful. In my opinion, Jim Carrey should have been cast instead. What are your thoughts? Do you hope this new Bewitched movie will be better?
Well, I mean, the whole idea of the 2005 Bewitched, let's just get that out of the way quickly. That was awful. The 2005 Bewitched was awful. And it wouldn't have mattered if you had taken out Will Ferrell and put in Jim Carrey. It's the same script, whatever. It would have been just as bad. And I love Jim Carrey. Good Canadian kid. I have a lot of love for Jim Carrey in my heart. I love that dude. But at any rate, that notwithstanding, Sony is moving forward and developing a new Bewitched movie at Sony Pictures. Now, this is fascinating because one of the you cannot help but wonder. You can't help but wonder, how much does the popularity of WandaVision have to do with this? I mean,
they were like, which sitcom? Somebody, cha-ching. Let's get this going.
Now look,
I get it.
For them to announce that they're moving forward with a movie like this, that means something like this has probably been in the works for like 6 months. They've probably been discussing and debating over.
Yeah, it wasn't overnight.
No, exactly. It wasn't overnight. And that's key. But you're going to have a hard time convincing me that the success of WandaVision, with all the references to shows, either directly or indirectly to like Bewitched, didn't at least have some relevance in the final decision being made. Now, for those of you wanting to know what's going on here, this comes to us from the folks over at The Hollywood Reporter who write, Sony Pictures is twitching its nose as it orders early development of a movie version of the classic Bewitched TV sitcom, The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. Terry Matalas and Travis Fickett are conjuring up the script for the movie adaptation. Davis Entertainment is producing via John Davis and John Fox. Sony, which owns the sitcom's rights, earlier attempted a Bewitched TV series remakes at CBS in 2011 and 2012 and on ABC in 2014, which did not go forward. So they've tried this a couple of times. Bewitched was also remade as a 2005 feature film starring Nicole Kidman, who was perfectly cast actually as her, and Will Ferrell. Metalis is under an overall deal at CBS and co-runs the Star Trek Picard TV show, which, by the way, I really love that Star Trek Picard show. I think that show is great. So this is interesting. Okay, let's put the WandaVision aspect of it aside. 15 years ago, or 16 years ago, they tried to bring this back on the big screen.
They tried.
Not much success there. Could another go at it be made? I absolutely believe it can. Because I believe that 2005 movie could have been successful had it been actually any good.
Yeah,
and
it just weird.
It just was not.
The setup was so good. Wasn't it directed by Nora Ephron, I believe?
I think you're right. I never even thought, but yeah.
And it's like Nicole Kidman, perfect casting. Shirley MacLaine as Samantha's mom, spot on casting. But it was like, oh, what didn't quite gel?
And they just weren't able to put it together. Yes. But it's but you're right. It's the concept of it is really good. Like it always was, right back to the original show. The concept of it is gold. If you do it properly, with the renewed interest, I believe it can be successful. But again, it's like anything else. You still got to make a good movie. Yeah. It doesn't matter what how popular the video game is. It doesn't matter how popular the comic book character is. It doesn't matter how popular the original show was. At the end of the day, you still have to make a good movie. The
writing needs to be there. And
are you interested in this? Do you think this could work?
I am. I didn't quite love the way they did the whole, we're very aware this is a TV show. And we're going to place the actors in a TV show, but it's actually real. I felt like the 2005 version, that's what really missed it for me. You know, remember, because she was an actress playing Samantha.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Right.
So if this is more head on, and I think there's a whole new group of new actors to pull from, you know, new comedic actors, new dramatic. I mean, Nicole Kidman, you know, to do a comedy like that, there's a lot of.
It was ideal.
Yeah, she was ideal. I could see Vanessa Kirby possibly doing it, and maybe Max Greenfield, because he's just so funny. He was on New Girl, and he's on, I think, Neighbors or something, opposite Cedric the Entertainer. There's a new crop of actors to pick from, and hopefully you've learned what didn't work, and this time you'll hit the nail on the head. That's my hope.
Here's hope. And question is for you guys. What do you think about Sony taking another run 16 years later at making another big screen version of Bewitched? I think it actually carries a lot of promise. I think it has a lot of potential. Question is, what do you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to main topic number 2. Kimberly, what's up next?
All right. Our second main topic is coming from James Argenta. Due to Flash being in development for 5 years, they had to recast Billy Crudup with Office Space's Ron Livingston as the role of Henry Allen. With Ron Livingston and Christy Clements, I think he means Kiersey Clements, signing on for the film, do you think The Flash will start filming before the end of summer?
Yeah, as of right now.
Do you think so?
I think they will. They seem to have everything lined up. That they're actually, some reports are even saying they may start filming this Flash movie, which was supposed to come out like 17 years ago. This movie they may actually start shooting now years later. 3 sets of writers, 4 sets of directors, all that kind of stuff. Maybe Michael Keaton will be in it. Maybe he won't. There are now whispers that Michael Keaton may have a scheduling issue and he may not be able to appear in it. No. Yeah, I haven't heard anything definitive yet. I haven't heard anything definitive about that. But there's that too. They may be finally moving forward on The Flash. No, you never like to recast if you don't have to. Like, all other things being equal, you don't like to recast. But let's face it. The role of Barry's dad was years ago and small. So it's not a big deal to have to replace him. And again, this thing has been bumped so many times. It's a wonder anybody's schedules line up with it now. Yeah. So that's good. The idea that they're going and getting Ron Livingston, I love this guy. And it's not just because I love Office Space, which is an all-time great, okay? You guys know, if you've seen Office Space, it is an all-time great comedy movie. I just showed it to Anne for the first time like a few months ago. She had never seen it before. We sat down and watched it.
Nice.
It was such a great experience.
I love introducing
Anywhere.
new stuff.
You're not wearing enough flair, Kimberly, just so you know. You're not wearing enough flair. So more pieces of flair. So when you insert this guy into anything, I'm probably going to be all for it. And so I think he's going to play it well. Again, this isn't a huge deal. It was a very small character that you know, he only played it for a little bit before. It's not a big deal. By the way, Lord Vanderkill sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Lord Vanderkill. And yes, Marcus is mentioning that we have to get to those TPS reports, everybody. Anyway, Ron Livingston is great. I love hearing this. So if you got to replace him, then this is a good guy to go and get. What do you think about this move?
I like it. I like it a lot. I'm really glad things are coming together and we can move it forward, especially with the Snyder Cut coming out. It's kind of revived interest, you know, because gosh, Justice League was a while ago. So
yeah.
it's and especially with, you know, Marvel did such a good job of boom, 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 boom. And of course, you can't help the pandemic and everything that happened with pushing back. So I'm glad to see it finally coming together and with people that we want to see and that we're happy to see. So I'm excited that they're introducing Ron Livingston into this universe.
I am too. I think it's great. The question is, guys, what do you think about this? Now, again, I think we will all agree that, you know, it's best to stick with the original actor if that's an option that's on the table for you to do that. Absolutely. But it doesn't seem like that's in the cards right here. What do you think about them getting Ron to do it? I think it's great. What do you think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Kimberly, what is up next?
All right, this is coming from Armin F. Greetings, John. I grew up as a big fan of the National Treasure movies. I know they're not really the best, but they have a very special place in my heart. I wanted to know if you saw the reports that a new TV series has officially been greenlit and that a third movie is still officially in development. What do you think about this? And do you think the National Treasure franchise still carries some weight? Thank you. Wow, what do you think about National Treasure coming back?
You know, the funny thing is, people have been talking about look, I'll be honest with you. I like the National Treasure movies.
I love them.
I think they're fun. See, you're not. I am
them.
always surprised though. As much as I liked watching them, I'm a fan of
I
Nicolas Cage.
love action adventure.
But so many people love them. What was it about those movies that you loved? What made it something that you just like really loved?
I love the mystery, and I love how, you know, secretly we all want to say we don't believe in conspiracy theories,
but we all
kind of do a little bit. And I just like that it goes there. I love John Voight. I just like, and then Nicolas Cage, and I like things that are, I mean, let's face it, everything that kind of seems like Indiana Jones a little bit. I mean, obviously National Treasure feels a little Indiana Jones-ish. We're going through caves, we're looking for clues, you know, but I like the whodunit, and it's like a grown-up Goonies almost. It's how it feels.
I love it.
And I love that. It's like giving us permission to play, and you know, and you can kind of play with conspiracy theories a little bit, and yeah, I love them. I love them.
Well, here's the thing. I'm one of those guys that I've always liked them. I've never understood the deep passion for them. But, you know, over the last number of years, like all the way even back to my movie blog days, like people have wanted and asked for more National Treasure. And Bruckheimer has always said, we think we're going to have more National Treasure. And then little more develops. Then we heard they're actually going to try to develop a script for it to see if they can actually get it going.
13, 14 years since the last one?
Probably.
2007.
We're talking 14 years.
Dang.
So they've been constantly making little bits of progress here and there. And now they're actually trying to develop a movie. And now they've also got a TV show they're doing. This comes to us. Well, I cannot find my side. Where's my side? Oh, yeah, here's my side. Hold on a second. I got to bring this back up. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety, who writes, Disney Plus has ordered 10 episodes of a new TV series based on the popular National Treasure film. So they're moving ahead with a TV show, too.
Nice.
The show, a reimagining of the franchise, will include original producer Jerry Bruckheimer, so the original producer's doing
right
it,
on,
and writers Marianne and Cormac Wibberley, I should say, directed by Mira Nair. The series will explore identity, community, and patriotism through the eyes of Jess Morales, a 20-year-old dreamer who set off on an adventure to recover lost treasure and uncover her mysterious family history. Now, it goes
Cool.
on. It goes on. So a little bit of a twist. It goes on to say the following. Meanwhile, John Turteltaub, who directed 2004's National Treasure and its 2007 sequel, National Treasure Book of Secrets, is working with writer Chris Brenner on a third movie with Nicolas Cage returning as the lead role of Benjamin Gates. Original cast members Justin Bartha, Diane Kruger, Harvey Keitel, Armando Risco, and John Voight are also expected to star in the third installment of the franchise. National Treasure 3 was first teased in 2008 and has been in development for years despite continued stalling. So that comes to us from the folks over at Variety. And by the way, Donaldo Martinez sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thank you, Donaldo. So they're moving now. We've gone from 14 years of nothing.
They're like movie and TV show and pillows and cups.
Yeah, and now and TV dinners for everybody. And it seems like I'll tell you this too. I like the idea of, I think some people would have been upset to hear that they're doing a TV series and not working on a third movie, because when a lot of people think of National Treasure, they understandably think of Nicolas Cage and Diane Kruger and John Voight, and they think of that obviously. Doing both, I think, is really rather interesting because the whole idea of the conspiracy and the secrets of a national treasure juxtaposed with a young dreamer living in the U.S., discovering things about their own heritage and history and patriotism and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Doing both is kind of ideal. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, look, they could both be absolute crap for all we know. I mean, there hasn't been a great track record lately of old franchises getting revisited, but we were just talking about Bewitched. But I mean, I think this sounds really intriguing, especially the idea of moving forward with both. Yeah. Are you excited about the movie, the show, both?
I'm excited about both. In my head, I can just see like at the end, whoever, the young person is taking on the helm of the TV show, kind of bumping into Nick Cage and something falls out of his pocket and picks it up. What's that? And then you go into the series, I think it's a cool way to continue the story. And even though America is so new and compared to other countries, where you could take the story, uncovering tombs and have ancient things. Like America's not that ancient. We're only a couple years, 100 years old. But I think it'll make a cool series. And I'm excited about it. And I'm excited that life is getting back to the theaters because I want to see this on the big screen. I love all the clues and the who done it and what is this? And I like that. And Nick Cage.
We have to remind ourselves though that why they continue to develop this movie, they still hasn't been given an official green light. Like it still hasn't been officially.
Oh, it's not official.
No, they got to finish this whole development thing and then bring it to Disney and show them that can work. But it sounds like they're all serious about moving forward with it. So the question is for you guys: what do you think about the sounds of this? They continue to work on National Treasure 3. They're still moving forward with that. And they've already ordered a 10-episode pilot season for a National Treasure series that's not involving the main characters, going off in kind of a different direction. Sounds like they're doing both. Do you like both ideas? Do you like one over the other? Do you hate both ideas? What do you guys think? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move into main topic number 4. Kimberly, what is our fourth main topic today?
All right, our fourth main topic is coming from Aaron W. Hi, John. If Helen Mirren joining the Shazam movie wasn't exciting enough, The Hollywood Reporter has reported that 007 himself, Pierce Brosnan, had joined the cast as Dr. Fate. I'm excited to see what he brings to one of my favorite characters. What are your thoughts on this casting and this strange direction DC is going in with casting these older actors?
Well, I don't. It's not.
Do you think it's a thing to cast?
No, the thing is they're finding the characters that are being written are older characters, so they went out and got older actors. It's not like they're making a Superman movie and say, let's get Clint Eastwood and like Get off my lawn.
Would be dope.
Dope.
Yeah.
Don't lie. I'd watch the hell out of that movie.
Yeah.
A 90-something-year-old Clint Eastwood playing Superman.
No complaints. No complaints.
Get that kryptonite out of here. I mean, I would watch the hell out of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to remember too, this isn't about, oh, we're just moving in the direction of older actors. Is that they have these characters that were written in the screenplay. They're going to come across as older characters, and so they do it that way. So that I have no problem with. That's not the issue. The issue is, we know Black Adam starts shooting very soon.
Yeah.
Finally, after like literally 5 years.
I'm so happy this project's getting going.
Oh, finally. Like, I was there. I've told this story before, but I was there in Las Vegas at CinemaCon during the Warner Brothers presentation when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came out on stage and talked about, you'll yield under my boot on your neck, and like all this Black Adam sayings, right? That he came out and did. And then year after year after year passed. Ouch. Nothing. Promises. Starting soon. Now, of course, the last year we've had COVID, so there's that. I get that. But it actually looks like they are finally ready to go.
It's shaping up very nicely.
It is shaping up nicely, and they've just added a terrific actor in Pierce Brosnan. This comes to us from the folks over at, but I've lost it already again. I lost my graphic. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Anyway, Pierce Brosnan. Let's go. We'll read it directly from the page here itself. In addition to finally bringing Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam to the forefront of the DC Extended Universe, years after the actor signed on to the role, the Black Adam movie will also introduce moviegoers to the Justice Society of America. Now, of course, we found out about that during DC Fandom. They at DC Fandom, they did this big thing, and they let us know that the Justice Society of America was going to be in there for that, who've been part of the DC Comics landscape since the 1940s. The DCU version of the team will consist of Hawkman, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, and Dr. Fate, and those first three roles have already been cast months ago. It's finally been revealed who will bring Fate to life: James Bond actor Pierce Brosnan. Now, I was a kid, like young kid. And one of the TV shows that was popular at the time was Remington Steele. And I used to watch as a little kid, watch Remington Steele. He was suave. He was the perfect choice at the time to be the next Bond. So cool. But whether it's that showing like dramatic chops, he's been great in a lot of dramas, showing his comedic chops, whether it's in things like
Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire is a great example of that. The Mamma Mia movies. I love him in the Mamma Mia movies.
Yes.
Like I think he's great in those.
So charismatic.
I just saw him in Eurovision as Will Ferrell's dad. I loved him in that small little role.
You're a failure.
I love that. He's so great.
He's so great. He's so dynamic.
And so to not only have Dr. Fate, but to go out and get an actor of the caliber of Pierce Brosnan, who has done a lot of action, never done a comic book movie, I think this is terrific. I am getting more. I mean, I'm already excited about Black Adam because it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
But then all the announcements they made at DC Fandom about it got me even more into it. The question's always been, my enthusiasm's always been tempered by the fact that I don't even know if they're ever actually going to do this thing. So now it's clear they are, and they get Pierce Brosnan. I love this choice. I love his casting in this. And you hear about this. What do you think about him being added to it?
I'm so excited. I love him so much. And what I like is that, again, new generations getting to know the actors that we have grown to love over the years, like my young nephews that are like preteens and teens, they're going to be able, they didn't really watch Tomorrow Never Dies, so they're going to be able to see this and fall in love with Pierce Brosnan like we are. And he's just so, I was watching The Foreigner with Jackie Chan, mm-hmm. and I was like, man, it just made me think of Pierce, of him, watching him and how much I really like him. I don't think he's done anything where I was like, oh, Pierce Brosnan, he kind of missed it.
Oh, yeah, not that all of his movies have been good.
Not all the movies, but
delivers.
He's always consistent. He always delivers, and maybe, you're right, maybe around it, you're like, oh, I don't know about the writing or whatever, but man, was that guy just cool as hell. Like, I love him, and I'm excited for a new generation to get to know him.
Yeah, and I got to bring up this picture again, guys. This is a handsome man.
Good-looking man.
This is a good-looking man. He can rock a suit,
Now he's got the salt and pepper going.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Okay.
He looks He looks great.
I
Anyway,
see you, Pierce.
I love this news. I think this is great. Now, again, Black Adam may be great. It may be terrible. I don't know. But it is never a mistake to add talent. And they have just added a hell of a lot of talent in this. I think he's going to be great in the role. Question is for you guys. What do you think about the addition of Pierce Brosnan into this role? I think it's fantastic. Maybe you've got questions about it. Maybe you already had somebody in mind who could have been Dr. Fate and it just ain't Pierce Brosnan. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With all that down and out of the way, let's now move on and start taking your live comments and questions. You guys have already been sending them in. We're going to start getting picked up on the ones we left off on yesterday. So, Kimberly, let's get started. What's our first question today?
All right. This is coming from Shaun of the Dead. With Patty and Zach being friends, I wish they would have kept continuity tighter. Either Wonder Woman 84 doesn't fly, or Nightmare Joker says he wished to be an Apex clown when he was a child. Then at least Snyderverse would be Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, and both Wonder Woman.
Well, I mean, you got to remember... They had already decided they were going to start kind of floating into a different direction, right? The reality is that we've gone over this many times, like Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, they underperformed what their expectations were, both in terms or in the three main pillars. Financially, and they did fine. It's not like some people talk as if Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel flopped. They didn't flop. Yeah. They made money, not as much as they should have, but they both made money. But they also underperformed in terms of like critical reception and audience reception. Those are the big things. And so they ultimately decided they needed to start moving off into another direction. It is going to be interesting to see because, I love the first Wonder Woman movie.
I love that first one.
Wonder Woman 84, not so much.
I don't understand.
No, I do.
What happened?
But,
why?
But, I have a lot of belief that number one in Patty Jenkins as a director. So I have a lot of belief in like what she brought us in the first one. We'll get something really good in the third one. I hope so. We'll just have to see where things go. All right. What's next?
This is coming from Jay Bling. Personally, I'm happy Black Widow is releasing on July 9th because in Colorado, I'm likely to be vaccinated by late May at the latest. So the vaccine should be settled in time for both Black Widow and Fast 9.
Yeah, I mean, by then, the vast majority of us should all be... Yeah. I know I'm getting my vaccination this week.
So, congratulations. Yeah, happy vaccination to you. I need to figure out something to say to people. There
are benefits to having pre-existing medical conditions. So yeah, I get to get a vaccination shot here soon. Good. That is one of the best. I mean, look, the whole reason they moved it a couple more months, we talked about this on the show yesterday, is because of a number. The number is 71 million. What is 71 million? That's the amount of money that Raya and the Last Dragon made worldwide in theaters. That's not, it's recovering, but it's not where it needs to be. They decided to push it off till June and they couldn't wait. And they don't even think they're going to be able to make like $400 or $500 million in June. More than they would today. So they decided to go the Disney Plus route as well as putting in theaters. But you're right. We're going to get a much better reception for it in theaters in July, I should say. I'm definitely going to be waiting to go see it in theaters. I cannot wait. Just like I'm going to wait to see Godzilla vs. Kong so I can see it on an IMAX screen. Just like I'm going to wait till I can see Mortal Kombat on a big movie screen the way it's supposed to be seen. Very excited about that. So yeah, there are definitely benefits to that, Jay Bling. All right, what's next?
This is coming from Michael H. Jones. This is one of two. I may have this wrong, but I got the feeling Bucky knew he killed the old man's son. He is spending time with him, trying to work up the courage to tell him. That scene when that old man talked about his son, Bucky looked very uncomfortable. Then, when he was on the date with the girl, she brought up the old man's son and he bolted. Think he wanted to go tell him at that point, but he saw the old man mourning him and he froze. When the son is brought up, Bucky acted like someone full of guilt.
Well, I mean, look.
Sorry. Oh, you know what? He's got one more here.
Oh, does he have another one?
Yes, he does. Okay. Sorry, have more to say. Both of those scenes take place before Bucky sees the old man mourning his son. And in both, he shows a lot of guilt. I think he knows he killed him, just haven't been able to tell him, but I could be wrong.
No, look, make no mistake about it. I think the show is very clear. Bucky knew, like before Bucky, the best moment of that first episode to me was when Bucky goes to his apartment he opens the door, we see the shrine with the picture of his son, and now we as the audience knows. But it was never being implied in the show that that's when Bucky found out. Bucky knew. Like, Bucky already knew. Oh, he absolutely already knew.
That's why he befriended that specific guy.
Because when he's on the date, which, by the way, I love the date scene too.
Love it.
When he's on the date and she starts talking about his son, like, he knew. He was overwhelmed with guilt again. It's like, that's it. Now is the time I'm going to go tell him. Now is the time I'm going to go tell him. And he goes to go tell him and then backs out again at the last second. But I don't think your speculation is wild or anything, Michael. I think that was the clear message of it. Like, did you take it differently? I completely took it as he knew right away. Like, I don't know. How did you see that?
Now that you bring that up, I think, you're probably right. I might have gotten that wrong because I thought when he was on the date that he was like putting it together because he starts remembering stuff. But then again, it's like, how many people did he kill? What are the odds that he's just going to find this friend and the friend's son died? Oh, I'm the one that killed him. So now that you mention it, that is probably why he's friends with that guy. I didn't think about that.
I don't think it's a coincidence that he had the nightmare of killing that dude while he's also hanging out with that dude's dad. I don't think that was a coincidence. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way. By the way, Alex sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that, man. All right, what's next?
Chad Furlong says, heard this on the show recently. In The Dark Knight, Joker swaps the addresses of Dent and Rachel. Batman intends to save her. Gordon yells, "Which one are you going for?" Bruce responds, "Rachel." He didn't try to go to Dent. Pretty cruel joke.
I've had a number of people writing this in. I can definitively tell you you're incorrect. And here's why. Watch the scene that happens after the explosions. What happens is Alfred goes in to talk to Bruce. Christian Bale is sitting in his chair, overwrapped with guilt. Now, had he intended to go and save Rachel, then his conversation would have been, "I tried to save her, Alfred. I tried to save her." But it wasn't. What did he say to Alfred in that scene? He just said, "Is what I'm doing in this city what got her killed?" And then Alfred says, and this is where it really gets revealed.
That again tonight.
Alfred says to him, he says, basically, look, Rachel believed in what you stood for. And she believed that the city needs you. To which he says, and this is what really reveals it, the city doesn't need me, it needs Dent. And I got him blown half to hell. So, because he got half of his face blown up, right?
That scene
clearly makes it 100% crystal clear. There was no ambiguity there. He's like, I am not the hero they need. They need Harvey Dent. And that is why the implied thing in the movie is that he changed his mind and he chose to go get Harvey Dent because he knew Harvey Dent is the hero that Gotham needed, not him. And he was feeling guilty that he didn't get there in time to save him from getting half blown up. Again, I think there's a lot of discussion and debate you can have about it, but once you see that immediate follow-up scene and Bruce basically reveals what's on his mind, I think that makes it very clear. He made the decision to go and get Harvey. So it is what it is. There's no way you can interpret that scene because if Bruce had decided to go and get Rachel and hadn't changed his mind, then that conversation with Alfred would have been 1,000% different. There is no way that conversation happens without it being that he did decide to go and get thing. Because otherwise, if he truly believed that the city didn't need me, it needs Dent, that wouldn't have been what's on his mind. He would have been lamenting his failure to rescue Rachel. And he wasn't lamenting that because he made the decision. And so it's abundantly clear. That's how I see it at any rate. All right. What's next?
I have to watch that tonight again, twice. Chad Furlong says, I know you're listening to Light of the Jedi. I recently finished. I really didn't like the theatrics, sound effects, and music at first, but I came around. And the narrator, Charles Soule, is incredible at multiple unique voices. What's your experience?
Listen, one of the things that I love most about Star Wars audiobooks is they make full out productions. Like full out productions. of them.
Nice.
They put in the music and the sound effects and the score, and they just put them together. Like, I don't need that in a good audiobook. Like, it's fine. Just give me the narrator reading the book. That's fine. But I really do appreciate the full, that for Star Wars audiobooks, even the bad ones, they make them full out radio productions. They make them full out radio drama productions.
Nice.
And it is really kind of a joy to listen to. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Taj and Cars says, it's been about a year since I last wrote in. I never stopped watching, though. I hope all is well, and congrats on the new home. The Joker definitely tricked Batman into going to the wrong address to rescue Rachel.
No, I think the movie makes it very clear he changed his mind on who he's going to save, and we've already talked about that. All right, what's next?
Taj and Cars says, just stumbled onto this crazy M. Night series on Apple TV, and boy, is it a wild ride. Every episode creates more questions than answers, and I am here for it. I honestly think M. Night gives us his better work after he's let us down. Have you seen Servant?
No, but it's another show on Apple TV Plus that I've heard is really good.
I want to see it.
Now, I'll be honest with you. When they first started talking about Apple TV Plus and they did their big stage presentation, I thought, none of this looks very interesting to me. Yeah. None of it does. But then I saw Morning Show. I'm like,
that was so good.
So good. And then
good.
I saw For All Mankind. And I'm like, that is so good. And then I saw Ted Lasso. And I'm like, this is one of the best things on TV.
Okay, so I need to get back on it. I watched the morning show. I did my free trial. But then I was like, I'm just signed up for so many freaking things right now. So I did that whole, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to take a break. Then I'm going to sign up for this and da-da-da-da. So I'm like making my rounds.
Ted Lasso's worth it.
Around
You'd
4th
love
of July, I should be back to Apple TV. Ted Lasso.
Eat up Ted Lasso. You would adore it.
He got a Golden Globe.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man.
Jason Sudeikis, for
or
that.
nominated or whatever. But and he is fantastic in it.
I need to check that out.
What's next?
Eric Lynch says, John, you know Wonder Woman is my favorite superhero of all time. I hated how unpowered Joss Whedon had made her in the original film, so I was delighted to see Zack fix that issue in his version. I wanted to see her fly and kick ass like the warrior she is, and I got a little of that from the Zack version. Now I can't wait to see Wonder Woman 3. I want to see Wonder Woman at the same power level Superman is, like she is in the comics. I have yet to see the full bloodthirsty warrior she is in the comics on the big screen, but I do like what the DCEU has done with the character so far.
I think it's a misrepresentation to say that they underpowered her in the original theatrical version. Not other than Superman, and she's not the same power level as Superman. But other than Superman, none of the other Justice Leaguers were able to go toe-to-toe, one-on-one with Steppenwolf the way she did. Like, Aquaman had a couple of really good exchanges with Steppenwolf, but Wonder Woman was clearly the one having the better thing. Also, you know, when you go through the majority of the history of Wonder Woman in comics, she is not a bloodthirsty warrior. That's just not the history of Wonder Woman. Yeah,
that's not her bag.
That is not the history of Wonder Woman. I'm not saying she hasn't been portrayed like that at times, but that is not the history of the character at all. So I think, despite the fact that, you know, the Snyder Cut was a better version of the movie, I do not feel like they underpowered her.
I do.
Really, you felt like they underpowered her?
Yeah.
How so? How do you see that?
When in Zack Snyder's version, and again, I felt just hints of 300 all over, you know, the film.
Right.
And I felt like she was badass. Her strength, it's funny because we look at superhero movies and we see everyone's busting through a wall, everyone's flying up to the sky, and everyone's so powered, you kind of lose track of like just how powerful. In the scene where Superman comes back in Zack Snyder's version, when he's interacting with Wonder Woman, for some reason, I was so focused on their strength, and I was like, whoa. He's stronger than her, but she's not too far behind him. The way Zack really like focused in on their strength, I was like, she's just so much more badass in the Zack Snyder version, and she's more savage. Like that very end where Steppenwolf is going back into the orb or whatever to go back. The portal.
Tube.
I'm sorry.
The boom tube.
Yeah. And he's already going back. He's already headed back and let's close the orb. She's like, no. Last minute, freaking does that awesome flip, cuts his freaking head
Yeah, it
off.
was a great scene. That was a great shot.
She didn't have to do that. Was savage. A Wonder Woman, like, but I didn't get that savageness, that badass that, you know, I got from Josh Whedon's. I'm noble. I will save you. She was like a gentle warrior.
She wasn't gentle a number of times in the original
one
too.
But in such a noble way. And Zack Snyder, she's like, whose head should I cut off next? Oh, you? Okay, bam, next. Like, it was cutthroat.
All right, what's next?
This is from Jonathan. Saw Raya. I got pretty emotional, not because of the movie, but because I finally, after a whole year, am back to AMC 16, my go-to theater since I was a kid. I feared it would be gone forever, but I was so happy to be back. I will cherish AMC 16 forever.
The AMC Burbank 16 is... like, I mean, I don't live in Burbank anymore. I lived in Burbank until recently for a lot of years, and it was like a 10-minute walk up the road from me.
Nice.
I would be there 3-4 times a week. I love that theater. You know, I just recently went back to the AMC Tyler, Galleria, where we booked a theater for ourselves to watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's impossible to put into words how happy I was to be back in the movie theater. And I cannot wait to go back to watch Nobody and then Kong.
I can't wait to see that.
Oh yeah. I'm going into
Looking forward to it.
I got offered, you know what's funny? I got contacted by the studio.
I'm really excited to see that.
And they offered me a chance to come watch it and then do like a video with the stunt team from Nobody to do this video
and
with
why
them.
Did you not do this?
I still have my email. I'll show you the email there.
Dude.
I basically told them, but it meant I had to watch it in a drive-in setting at the lot, on the studio lot. And I wrote back to them, and I'll show you the email.
Yeah,
I wrote back to them and I said,
all.
I said, this sounds like a lot of fun, but I'll be honest with you. I've been really looking forward to this movie. And I don't want a drive-in setting with the less than perfect picture to be my first experience of this movie. I want to be sitting in a legit movie theater to watch this first. And they're like,
wow,
cool. Well, we're happy you're excited for the movie. I said, I am excited for the movie. So I turned down the thing to do this promo video with their stunt team and I turned it down because I got to see it in a movie theater first. That had to be the.
You're a better human than I. I would have like
if they said,
can I bring my sister?
If they said that we're going to play the movie for you in our screening room.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been like, I'm there.
Yeah.
But on an outdoor screen, and I love drive-ins.
You want to feel it, you know? You want to feel that. You want to feel that. Yeah. I get it, especially knowing like how, you know, the people that are involved in the film and the comparisons to John Wick and everything. That's like seeing John Wick 2 on Amazon. It's like, nah, I really have to see that in the theater.
All right, what's next?
I feel you. Russell G says, if I won the lotto and went to Warner Brothers and offered $400 million for Justice League 2 and 3 to be made, is this something they would possibly consider, or is there more to it other than not wanting my free money? I love Zack's Justice League and I want to see it through.
I mean, obviously, without being in the room, I can't say definitively, but the answer to that is probably no, they wouldn't take it. Because it's not just about a 1 or 2 movie thing. It's about, look, they already were able to ascertain that going Zack Snyder's direction was failing. It just was. They were falling further and further behind. It is not a coincidence that their 3 most successful movies were all non-Zack Snyder movies. And so, no, for $400 million, they're not going to risk the entire future of what their thing was. Now, again, I say that as somebody who is very clear that the best DCU movie ever is Man of Steel. And I really like Batman versus Superman. I like those things, but I am in the minority. I'm in the minority. They tried going that route. They saw it wasn't working and they departed from it. And so, no, they wouldn't take for just $400 million from their point of view. And I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying from their point of view, $400 million is not enough to endanger the next 5-10 years of our entire franchise. We saw what works in their opinion.
Yeah.
We've seen what works. We've seen what doesn't work. We need to move away from what didn't work. And they've had success. And as much as I would give my left pinky finger to see Man of Steel 2, I get it. I understand it. So no, they probably wouldn't. And now only Warner Brothers can answer that question, but they probably wouldn't take their money.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
If Zack Snyder's version had made it to the theaters, obviously not 4 hours,
Yes.
you know, but if the version that we just saw this past weekend, cut down to a reasonable time, had made it in the theaters, do you think that would have redeemed him and redeemed their faith in him and said, okay, well, you know what, we'll stick with you. Let's see what else he's got, you know?
No, I mean, look, because and here's why.
Shucks.
Here's why. At that point, especially at that point in time, the general audience, a good percentage of the general audience had already abandoned Zack Snyder's vision for what the DCU could be. So many people didn't like Batman versus Superman. Yeah. I mean, that was just it. I mean, I think they're crazy, but a lot of people didn't like Batman versus Superman. And so while I think a 3 hour and 15-minute Zack Snyder Justice League in theaters was something I would have enjoyed a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of people just wouldn't have given it the time of day, and it just would have been the next step. I'll say this though, it couldn't have been less successful than what they ended up doing. It at least would have been probably a little bit more successful than what they did end up doing, which I get into this. After seeing Snyder's version of it, I am still left bewildered about what was the point of what they did. I just don't get what the point of it was.
I have so many questions.
Version. I just don't get
about what happened behind this. I would love in like 10 years or something, if anyone's up for it, to just really tell the behind the scenes story.
It has to be somebody from Warner Brothers. It would have to be somebody.
I'd watch that documentary
to say what was actually going on in those things, because for a long time I thought I got what it was they were doing. That they got Whedon to make a different movie that was very similar but a different movie. All they did was took a big axe, cut the damn movie in half, and made the changes so it didn't have any loose ends. And I'm like, well, then why not just take Zack's movie and cut it down to 3 hours?
Why did you have to?
I just don't get it. I just don't understand what the whole point was. Anyway, that's just me. All right, what's next?
Johnny 5-619 says, so, John, I'm a physical media buyer just like Robert. I would like to purchase a physical copy of your documentary with the extra 30 minutes and some bonus features, maybe that you didn't include. Make it happen. I'm sure Robert would love it too.
Yeah, there will be no physical. I made that decision very, very early that I wasn't going to do physical discs or anything like that.
Yeah. Can't be a cut. I want that 30 minutes, yo.
I made the decision a long time ago. I wasn't going to put it out on physical media. It's just a lot easier, and we've had great success. It would be a lot easier for us just to make it available digitally. It was a lot less effort to just make it available digitally. We've had great success with it. And honestly, I don't think a lot of people, while I'm sure some people would have bought the disc, I don't think a lot of people would have bought the physical disc. So I just made the decision to go that way. And I've been thrilled with the results that we got. Thank you so much to you guys, for all of you who bought it and rented it and rated it and all that kind of stuff. It got higher ratings than I ever thought we would get on it. And so thank you very much for that. All right, what's next?
The Archduke of Nightmare says, Germantown MD. So, the Snyder Cut was amazing. Falcon and Winter Soldier was very good. But for me, the winner of the weekend, and I'm late to the party on this, was Psycho Gorman. Amazing, cheesy throwback horror comedy. Had an absolute blast.
I didn't even know it came out yet. So Psycho Gorman is this little indie film made about this demonic being brought into the world to destroy the world. But for whatever reason, this little girl gets a device that she can control him.
She controls him, right?
And he has to obey her, but he's still totally got his own mind. He's like, I want to slaughter you and rip out your intestines, little girl. But he can't because she's controlling him. And I just remember the trailer looked weird, and I say that in a good way. It looked totally weird. I haven't seen. You saw the trailer?
I saw the trailer.
Have you been wanting to see?
Yeah,
this?
I have a friend that loves like obscure horror films, and I saw it, and she like introduces the thing to her parents. She's like, "Hi, this is so and so." I will bathe in your blood.
Yeah, so I have not
fun.
seen it yet, but I am very, very curious to watch it. I'll get around to watching it at some point. All right, what's next?
Johnny 5-619 says, "Damn it, John. It's been 5 minutes and I don't see a physical copy of your movie.
Oh, wow.
What kind of customer service is this? JK, loved it and would really like a physical copy, but just love your LOTR, Lord of the Ring guy story too. Have a great day to all out there."
Well, thank you for that. For those of you who don't know what story, many of you do, you probably heard this before, but what he's referring to about my Lord of the Rings story, and I don't think you've heard this story before. This is back in my movie blog days.
Okay.
I got an email from, and I think this was when Peter Jackson, there was first talks about doing Hobbit or something like that. Anyway, I can't remember in between which two movies, but I got an email from somebody, and I get 100 to 200 of these a day. So I get this one email from somebody, and I read every email that gets sent to me. I obviously don't have time to respond to all of them, but I read every single email that gets sent to me. And this guy was saying, John, just want to let you know that like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit have been like absolute staples in my life, my whole life. And I aspire to be an actor, and I really want to get a role in one of these Middle Earth movies. I think I could play a great elf or something like that. Even if I was just an extra, I don't know. Could you please pass on to me Peter Jackson's phone number or email address? One of the two, maybe, but he asked for both. Can you pass on to me Peter Jackson's phone? I love it because I need to make my dream happen. So I just look at and I scroll on to the next email. I obviously don't respond to that. 2 or 3 days later, I get an email from this guy again, and like all caps, "I wrote to you 3 days ago asking for Peter Jackson's contact information. What the hell kind of customer service is this?" And I've never forgotten.
Don't you know you're a genie?
Well, on top of that,
Hello?
that I'm obligated. I am obligated. He brought me out of the bottle. I am obligated to.
Wow.
First of all, I don't know why anybody would think that I have Peter Jackson's personal phone number. Just to be clear, I do not. But I mean, I have never forgotten. I've saved that email for over a decade. I've saved that email. I always look back on it just to remind myself some people really do feel entitled. Anyway, but there's that. Okay, what's next?
Vision with the Mind Stone says,
Vision, I like that.
2 basketball and movie questions. Do you think the Lakers will make it to the finals? And if they don't or even miss the playoffs, AD and LeBron are hurt. Could that negatively impact the marketing of Space Jam 2? I got Clippers or Utah coming out the West.
I don't think if for whatever reason they didn't, I don't see that affecting the marketing of Space Jam 2. I mean, LeBron's already got all the MVPs and all the rings, and it doesn't. So that doesn't.
I will
really
not
matter.
watch this movie unless they win.
But
yeah, no.
Under regular circumstances, listen, the Lakers are a better team this year than they were last year with the personnel moves they made. AD and LeBron should both be perfectly fine. Like neither of their injuries, the calf or the ankle, are even remotely potential season-ending injuries or the types of injuries that have super long-term effects. They should both be back. Now, are they going to finish as the number 1 seed in the West? Probably not. They're going to fall down the rankings a little bit, but they already had such a good record that they can go on a big losing streak and still be very, very comfortably in the playoffs. And all they got to do is get in the playoffs. With AD and LeBron healthy, with the supporting cast that they have, even though I don't think the Clippers improved by the way, I don't think the Clippers improved in the offseason. Some people think they did. I don't.
Yeah.
But Utah is definitely looking like a beast. The Jazz look beastly. Absolutely. But if all things being equal, and you got AD and LeBron back at full strength, which they should be, I don't know why you would bet against them getting to the finals. Mm-hmm. I think they do get to the finals. So I don't know. You look at me, you're looking skeptical. You don't think so? You don't think if both those guys are at full strength, they don't get to the finals?
No, I do. My skepticism was about the Space Jam part.
Oh, we're still on that.
The Space Jam part. Because I was thinking, I I didn't know that even would cross someone's mind. Like, I will not watch this movie. You didn't make it to the finals. I'm not gonna see this trash. Like, I didn't even realize that was an issue.
If you can't get to the finals, how are you supposed to save the world?
You and Bugs Bunny are nothing.
All right, what's next?
Charles Richardson says, unpopular opinion. Winter Soldier, I feel, is overrated. Not bad, not even meh. It's good. It's different, but top tier Marvel, not IMO. Falcon and Winter Soldier has those Winter Soldier vibes too, which is why the first episode was okay. Borderline meh, but I still...
Continued, I guess.
Continued.
I don't see
And I don't see anything else.
Okay, so let's just address that then. Hey, listen, all film is subjective. If you watched Winter Soldier and it didn't give you that experience like it gave some other people, no problem. That's totally cool. I wish you loved it as much as we did, but hey, at least you liked it. All I can tell you was my experience. And I remember going into Winter Soldier, it was at the AMC Century City in Los Angeles. And it was a press screening. And there was about 100 press there. And I remember going in and thinking, oh, this should be good. Because, Marvel have been putting out really good movies. This should be really good. We're excited about it. I remember a bunch of us came walking out of the theater, like almost stunned and bewildered. Like, what did we just watch? And I remember,
loved it.
like me and, who was it that I came out of? Anyway, me and a couple of other people came out and just like looked at each other like stunned. It's like, that was incredible. The way they really, because I had talked to the Russo brothers before seeing the movie.
Oh, okay.
And, they had given me the same line they were talking about. It's like, we really went for like a 70s political thriller kind of vibe and all that kind of stuff. And like, sure. We hear a lot of directors talk about, oh, I got these influences in my movie. And sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. But they really did capture that 70s political thriller vibe. And it was just a different dimension of a comic book movie that I'd ever seen yet at that time. And I was amazed by Winter Soldier. I thought it was incredible. What did you think about the movie?
I remember looking at my dad and turning to him and going, this is dope. Like, it was a little Tom Clancy, it was a little Mission Impossible, and of course a lot of Marvel. And it was like serious, but it was lighthearted, but it was like, wait, what the heck? And my dad didn't really read the comics, and so when Winter Soldier showed up, he's like, now who's this guy? And I just remember being like, I specifically remember looking over, and me and my dad looked at each other, and I was like, this is dope. And my dad was like, yeah, it's so good.
All right. But hey, listen again, Charles, it didn't work for you. Every single person, if they're not lying, every single person has several movies that everybody else may consider to be all-time classics that they personally don't like. That's all of us. That's why movies are subjective. So there's nothing wrong with the fact that it didn't hit you the same way. All right. What's next?
This is coming from that black guy. I know that guy. Could you explain?
I know that guy.
Could you explain how YouTube views work? You don't get the YouTube views per video that some of your peers get, like Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, but you're also able to purchase a new house and take care of yourself. How does it work?
Okay. Well, it's a little personal.
Well, you're also a genie, so.
But I'm also a genie with Peter Jackson's phone number, at my disposal whenever I want.
I just called Peter Jackson.
Okay, look, okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's put it this way. We've talked a lot before about, I have a fundamental understanding that I do not make the kinds of videos that will get big viral type of views. I deliberately made the choice that I don't make those types of videos. I've had so many YouTube reps and everything tell me, you're crazy, a 2-hour daily live show. That's not what gets trending, John.
Yeah.
I even remember one time I had my first meeting with I had just gotten my stuff big enough. This was when I was with AMC. I've just grown the channel big enough that we got our first YouTube rep.
When YouTube was becoming a career.
Yeah, we got they actually gave us a rep. They assigned to us a YouTube rep.
Nice.
So I went to the YouTube offices and I met with the rep for the first time.
All right.
And I was explaining at the time, I was trying to make a show that was like 45 minutes long or half hour long. And they were even telling me I would do these 3-minute celebrity interviews. Like I interviewed everybody. And they were usually about 3 to 4 to 5 minutes long, these interviews. Short videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
The YouTube guy was actually telling me, you should chop up those interviews to like 1 minute each. So if you ask 3 questions over 3.5 minutes, you should chop that up into 3 separate videos, because even 5 minutes was too long.
Mm-hmm.
Had to be short, like short, 2-hour live stuff. So look, I have an understanding that, and I don't do reaction videos, not because I have a problem with reaction videos, just because I'm not comfortable doing reaction videos. It's not what I naturally do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know those can get me a lot of views if I wanted to do it.
Be authentic.
But it's not what I do.
Yeah.
So I avoid those. There are certain types of videos I could make that I know are very, very get a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
I could do those. I just choose not to.
Yeah.
Not because I have a problem with other people doing it. It's just that's just not what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that. So now, so I make the videos I want to make, and I get a lot of views, but not on the same level as some other people on a per video basis.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Here's the key to it. The key to it, and I'll give you, look, I'm not the world's biggest expert on the inner workings of the YouTube machine, so take this totally for what it's worth. Not all YouTube views are created equal, particularly when it comes to the ads that play. So like if you have 100 ads, like they say one video gets 1,000 views and it plays 100 ads, and another YouTube video gets 1,000 views and plays 100 ads, they might make radically different amounts of money. They could make radically different amounts of money. Ads on one video could have a CPM. Basically, that's how much money you make per 1,000 views. So I'm trying to give a very long discussion into a very, very short time frame. But there's this phrase called a CPM. That in basic terms, that's how much money you will make per 1,000 views. All right. One video may have a CPM of $1. So for every 1,000 views, you'll get $1. Ads on another video could be $16 CPM. Basically speaking, the types of ads and CPM rates you'll get on like just review videos and some standard stuff like that won't necessarily, they'll be actually closer to the bottom of overall value. They won't actually make as much as, now, if you do videos about divorce lawyers, let's talk about divorce law, then you'll probably make 10 times the amount of money for the same amount of views that somebody else will get, say me doing a review of Mr. Nobody, Nobody,
I see
right?
what you're saying.
So there's that, right?
It's not an equal.
Because my videos are still like, the videos I make still are on the lower end, but because the videos that I do, particularly my segments, go into a wider selection, a wider area of topics. So I could talk about the growth of the streaming wars. I can talk about the stock options that Paramount Plus is offering to raise $3 billion for content. I can talk about Johnny Depp's newest court thing. So instead of just me reviewing this movie and reviewing that movie, I talk about a lot of different topics that can have higher CPM rates than some of my other videos will do. And while another guy may get twice as many views as I do, I could actually end up making more money than the other guy does. Now, on top of that, I diversify revenue stream, because unlike guys like Jeremy and Chris, who are the best in the world at what they do, Jeremy and Chris, in my opinion, are both, and I know both of them, they are the two best movie reviewers, straight up pure movie reviewers online. And both of them are very, very different from each other.
Yeah.
Jeremy excels at the shorter form, entertaining, quick stuff, and he does it better than anybody else in the world. Chris is a little bit more in depth. He goes a little bit more in depth in this stuff. He draws it out a little bit more, and he's one of the best in the world at what he does. What I do is, unlike those guys, I also have a staff. I will tell you right now, last year alone in 2020, I paid over $100,000 in salaries and fees to different people, as well as all the other expenses that come with running something like this. And that's not including paying myself. That's not including my own business taxes and all that kind of stuff. But I do, a 2-hour live daily show. A 2-hour live daily show.
Yeah.
And that each episode of my 2-hour daily show, when you consider the work that I put into it, whoever my guest puts into it, Ray has to put into it, each episode of my show takes anywhere between 18 to 22 man hours to put together for one show. Wow. So to do what we do here, we need more revenue. And so I also diversify my revenue stream. So we have, our Patreon supporters, which we simply could not do what we do here without our Patreon supporters. Our Patreon supporters support us. I monetize our podcasts. For those of you who don't know, the John Campea Show is also put out in podcast form. And we run separate ads. Our podcasting service runs separate ads. And so we have the audio. I'll let you behind the curtain a little bit. It's not a huge amount of money, but we make about $100 a day. We make about $100 a day on our podcast feed. And that helps me pay people's salaries. Our Patreon supporters help me pay people's salaries. So we have Patreon, we have YouTube. The YouTube ad revenue makes about half of our income, but only about half. Then on top of that, we've got Patreon, we got podcasts, and then of course we have our tip questions. Tip questions make up a good probably third of our revenue. So in order to do the types of show we do, as opposed to 2 or 3 5 to 15-minute videos a week, we do about 40 to 50 videos a week, including daily 2-hour-long shows. So that takes a little bit more. But anyway, to get to the bottom line of that black guy.
Amazing.
How I can put out videos that get fewer views per video than others is that we create more content, number one. Number two, our topics are more diversified than straight up reviews, so we can generate higher CPMs than some others do. And number three, we diversify how our income comes in. So we don't just rely on the YouTube ad revenue. We also rely on the ad revenue that comes from our podcast feed, our Patreon supporters, you guys who support the show by sending in the tips for the live questions part. I know I'm going off long on this, but that is how, in general, somebody like me can make an operation like this with paid people who work with me as well, can make something like this work. So that's that. Anyway, hope that helps. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into all of that. Okay, what is next?
This is coming from Marie Ciphering. Hi, John and Rob. I found it interesting that the release of Black Widow was both moved 2 months to July 9th and changed to a theatrical and Disney Plus simultaneous release with premiere access fee. So I guess the fear is that even with more vaccines being available, moviegoers will be slow to return to theaters. It will be interesting to see premiere access is more successful with Black Widow than Mulan or Raya.
The basics is this. Disney and the other studios, they're seeing recovery. We are seeing recovery. And I think, Godzilla versus Kong, I think for pandemic era is going to do well for a pandemic era movie.
Totally an asterisk
but
there.
They have not yet seen that. They have not seen the theatrical model yet cross a threshold of recovery yet that would make them comfortable. And by the way, BK Dan sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, BK. Appreciate that. Anyway, and so understanding that we have not hit that critical, like maybe we're at 40% recovery right now, but they feel like for us to put this out theatrically, and we need to soon because it's already been over a year since it was supposed to come out, we need to see at least 70% recovery, and we're not there yet. And we don't know that we'll be at 70 or 75% by July. So we will take advantage of the recovery by putting it in theaters, but we also need to diversify and try putting it on Disney Plus. With the $30 premiere access. Will it do better than Mulan did? Can't do any worse than Mulan did on Disney Plus premiere access. Will it do better than Raya? on Disney Premier Access. Can't do any worse than what I did on Disney Premier Access. So yes, it will be better. The question will be, how much better? Because if 2.2 million people were watching Wonder Woman 84 when it came out for free, well, 2.2 million, you're not going to get 2.2 million people dropping $30 to watch it. And even if you did get 2.2 million to drop $30 to watch it, that only equates to $60 million. Wow. That ain't getting you your $400 million either. So, I mean, there's a lot of different avenues they have to look at this and approach it, and we'll see how it ultimately all goes.
You know what's funny is that I think in 10 years, maybe, you know, when, you know, my little nephews are in college and they're in, you know, business school, this is going to be a whole... I can't wait to see what this looks like in the history books.
Yep.
For, you know, you have a business model and then the whole world shuts down.
Yeah.
What did we learn? What did people do? I'm very interested. Even this could be a whole college course on the entertainment industry and recovery from a pandemic.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
And by the way, Evelyn and Mr. Jones both send in super chat badges in the live chat. Thank you guys for that. Appreciate that. All right, what's next?
That black guy says, Apple doesn't get mentioned often in the streaming wars. With Apple being a $2 trillion company, where do you see Apple TV Plus going? They obviously have the money and top shelf programming. Ted Lasso, Servant, Mythic Quest. What are they missing?
By the way, I like Mythic Quest too. It's not Mythic Quest isn't great.
I need to tune in. I need to catch this stuff.
But I do like Mythic Quest. You know, somebody wrote in and asked yesterday. They asked 5 years from now, not 2 years, not 3 years, but 5 years from now, what do I think are going to be the 3 biggest streaming services?
Good question.
I said, and this, a lot of people disagree with me. But I said it's going to be, in no particular order, it's going to be Disney Plus, it's going to be Amazon Prime, and it's going to be Apple TV Plus. And the reason for that is Amazon and Apple each could buy and sell Paramount, Warner Brothers, and Comcast 5 times over. They have so much money and so many more resources, and they have both fully committed to this live action entertainment direction that they're going in. And both are doing very well. Like, some of my favorite shows of the last couple of years have been Amazon. Whether you're talking about The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is ridiculously good, won all the awards. Whether you're talking about The Boys, which is like one of my favorite things in the world to watch on TV right now. They've got their Lord of the Rings thing coming. A couple of their original movies have been just gangbusters, and they're just getting started. Apple has all the money in the world, and they're fully committed to this. And the advantage Apple has too is they have an interconnected ecosphere of not just content, but also the devices people will watch the content on. They don't sell the movies.
Very true.
They sell the devices, whether it's the Apple TV, whether it's your iPhone, whether it's your iPad, whether it's your MacBook or whatever. They also sell the devices you're going to be watching them on.
Good point.
And I think over the next 5 years, you're going to see that really come to the forefront. I don't know. What do you think are going to be the biggest 3 services in the next 5 years? I
think Quibi is going to be the biggest thing we've ever
come back.
Just kidding. I don't mean to be mean. When you say it like that, that's interesting. I would have said Netflix still. The good thing
Rob
about
thinks that too. Rob also
the good
thinks
thing about
Netflix,
coming out first is that you get to learn all of the hiccups, first, but then everyone copies you and builds new ideas on top of what you're doing. I would say Disney Plus for sure, Netflix and Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV. Yeah. That could be one too. Yeah.
I was an extra on the morning show.
I did not know that. How did I not know that?
I was an extra on the morning show. And I did the day they filmed the award scene, and we were standing out. I was in like my elbows in several scenes, so I'm very famous. And I remember there were just the production was so amazing. It was very smooth. It was, because I've done, starting out in acting, you do a lot of background work. Everything was top notch. Everything was top notch. You know, Steve Carell, Jennifer Aniston. I think Reese Witherspoon. I think Apple, they're going to start upping the ante on who they, like, if Daniel Day-Lewis ever comes back, you better believe Apple will snag him up. Like, they're really good at really gathering premier talent.
Well, look what we just talked about, Killers of the Flower Moon, a $200 million Martin Scorsese film with Leonardo DiCaprio and
your friend's wife?
Starring my accountant's wife is actually one of the main stars in the movie.
Girl.
So congratulations, Josh, my accountant again. So they're making moves. We'll see how it goes. Again, I'm not saying the next year. I'm not saying in the next 2 years, but 5 years from now, let's see where we are. All right, what's next?
Ryan Lawner says, R.I.P. George Segal. I hope I said that right. Even knowing how old he was, this one was a shock. And among all the great recommendations that are coming out of it, I'll throw in one for The Hot Rock, a comedy heist movie starring Robert Redford and Zero Mostel. It's also based on a novel by the same guy who created the Park series, adapted into movies like Point Blank and Paycheck.
Yeah, I was sad to hear about the passing of George the other day. You know, there's a lot of great things that he's in, and everybody mentions the stuff that they think of him in. When I think of him, I think of this little show that not a lot of people watched, and I don't think it lasted very long, but I really enjoyed it. It was a David Spade show.
Just Shoot Me.
Called Just Shoot Me.
Oh, yeah. That was my favorite one.
By the way, one of the best Mark Hamill guest appearances ever. Mark Hamill, there's an episode in Just Shoot Me where Mark Hamill plays himself. And he shows, long and short of it is, he shows up in David Spade's character, like, oh my God, he meets Mark Hamill, and like he's always trying, and whatever. And Mark Hamill starts to become obsessed with David Spade's character and always wants to hang out with him and always wants to call him on the phone. And then when finally David Spade goes, man, listen, I've got my own life. You got to give me a little bit of space. And Hamill goes, now you know how it feels being Mark Hamill. And it was great. You got to see it. But George was, I just remember that's where I was like, this dude is a comedic genius. This guy has such great comedic timing. And I really did enjoy that one a lot. All right. Anyway, what's next?
BB Kingpin says, with everyone seeming to go date and day, although I don't agree with Warner Brothers not talking to people before making big financial decisions like they did, it seems to me like they were getting ahead of the curve because now all the major studios are doing it.
Well, no, there's a fundamental difference. You can't try to cross-pollinate these two things. There's a fundamental difference between like a Disney going, we are holding out as long as we can to try to get these movies in theaters the way they were meant to be, and saying, well, like with Black Widow, we literally have other movies and TV shows that can't come out until Black Widow does first because of a story issue. And we've already pushed Black Widow over a year. We got to go with day and date for Black Widow, but all the other ones are staying theatrical. Yeah. There's a difference between that and Warner Brothers desperately trying to get attention for HBO Max and going in advance, all of our movies for 2021 are going to go straight day and date, which caught all the filmmakers by surprise, caught all the actors by surprise, caught all the financing partners by surprise. They talked to nobody.
The execution
was, and that's poor. Why you got Christopher Nolan completely pissed off. You got Denis Villeneuve. You got two of the three maybe best directors in the world today, like bashing Warner Brothers over the coals of it. But you can't compare the two scenarios. One is desperately in good faith with their filmmakers trying to get these things into theaters exclusively like they meant to. And you know they had long conversations with them before arriving to this decision, versus a year in advance, we're just saying everything's coming out on them. And all the filmmakers are saying, what the F are you talking about, Warner Brothers? Anyway, totally different scenarios. And that's why they've already come out and already signed an agreement with the theatrical chains to say, we're not going to do that in 2022. Our movies are going to be theatrical exclusives, other than the ones that we're making specifically for HBO Max. So we're going to see how that unfolds. All right, what's next?
Suthia says, hey guys, I thought I'd share some of my most favorite scene score combinations. Scenes that I not only love with the visuals, but also with the music in no particular order. 2012, Avengers Roundabout Scene with Avengers Assemble score by Silvestri.
Very iconic.
1993 helicopter journey scene in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's a great one.
With Journey to the Island score by Williams. 2007 Autobots transforming scene with Arrival to Earth score by Steve Jablonski. 1999 Obi and Qui-Gon Verse Maul with Duel of the Fates score by Williams. And the most recent edition, Barry's Speed Force Time Reverse and Snyder Cut with the At the Speed of Force score by Junkie XL. I can't think about these scenes without thinking about the music as well, and vice versa. What are some of y'all's favorites?
Most of mine, first, a couple of those are great, by the way. Like the Transformers one, especially that while all the Transformers movies are trash, the first one I thought was great. I thought the first one was great. And that first scene, when we first meet Optimus Prime, he comes rolling. He's in truck form. It's at night. He comes rolling through the alley. He comes up to them, and then he starts slowly to transform as the camera spins around him. And you hear that music. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, ah! I'm freaking out in the theaters. I love that. Of course, the Jurassic Park one. I often go back to Lord of the Rings. There are so many scenes in Lord of the Rings. Like whenever I see a grassy hill, like in real life, in TV, in a movie, whenever I see a grassy hill, all I hear in the back of my head is, that Lord of the Rings music. It's that I just hear it in my head.
Yeah.
And
you start yelling at cars. Oh, you shall not pass.
You shall not pass. I go back a lot to those ones. But yeah, there's a lot of those great iconic kind of score moments. I mean, a lot of people talk about the songs that play, but the score moments I think are even more powerful. All right, what's next?
Greg Scott Bailey says, started phase 2 of the MCU tonight with Iron Man 3. I know some folks don't care for it, but I enjoyed the heck out of Shane Black's approach. One thing I forgot is in the opening scene in the 1999 flashback, you see Jensen, the man who saved Tony's life in the cave with the electromagnetic magnet for the shrapnel. The MCU's Easter egg characters and situations never cease to entertain me. Whether planned or plucked out for a later story, they feel natural and not forced upon the viewer.
One of the things that has made, several things have made Marvel the force of nature that it is. But one of those things is it's always about characters. It's always about the characters. They start with the characters. And Jensen is one. I actually had an opportunity. I actually got to interview the actor who played Jensen.
Oh, you did?
Early in my career. Yeah, it was really cool. But and let's talk about Iron Man 3 for a second. I enjoyed Iron Man 3. It's not one of the stronger. It is one of the weaker Marvel films. Sure, I still enjoyed it. And by the way, Fang Blaze sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Fang Blaze. And I remember, I thought the twist with Ben Kingsley not being Mandarin was awesome. I'm like, whoa, right? Now, a little bit later, friends of mine convinced me, I just didn't understand why some people got upset. And some people convinced me, look, they spent 6 months advertising this movie, telling us Ben Kingsley was, why am I freezing on his name?
The Mandarin?
Mandarin. Thank you. Why was I freezing on Mandarin? Anyway, telling us Ben Kingsley was the Mandarin. They told us for 6 months, Ben Kingsley's Mandarin. A lot of people excited to see Mandarin. So they buy their tickets to go see Mandarin, only to then find out, after 6 months of promotion and marketing being told he was Mandarin, to find out it wasn't Mandarin.
Ouch.
And people felt a bait and switch. And I'm like, all right, when you put it like that, I see where you're coming from.
That was going to be serious
now I can
and
see where you're
dark and
coming
hardcore.
from. Yeah, so I got that. But I still think overall, a lot of people were like, it was Iron Man movie and there's hardly any Iron Man. Well, Tony Stark is Iron Man. And I kind of like that they delved into the whole PTSD stuff that he was struggling with. They went to the more human side of Tony. I did appreciate it. Again, I acknowledge I think it's one of the weaker MCU films. I still thought it was pretty good. Do you have any particular memories of watching Iron Man 3, or how did it stand out to you?
Love that. I thought that scene with Ben Kingsley was hilarious. And again, I know people who are just more seriously invested in, the comics being, the movies being like the comics might be like, upset by that. Like, I respect that totally. I thought it was funny. And the relationship with the kid was everything. We have a connection.
Yeah.
I loved that. I liked it. I did feel like it was, out of all of the Iron Man movies, it was the weaker one. You know, I like Iron Man 1 is my favorite, but yeah, I loved it.
All right. What's next?
Sir Ivan Bennett says, "Hey John, I know Snyder's Batman is your favorite, but Nolan's is mine, which is why I had to correct you and your memory of The Dark Knight. Joker tells Batman Dent is at 250 52nd Street and Rachel is at Avenue X and 6th. Gordon asks Batman which one he's going to, and Batman says Rachel. Gordon calls all police cars to 250 52nd Street. He's going for Dent, but there is no change by Batman, no further communication. Batman gets to Avenue X, but Dent is there. Gordon arrives at 52nd and Rachel dies. Batman was all about Rachel. He wasn't trying to sacrifice her. This also leads to Batman later recognizing the Joker's trick when he dresses the hostages as the criminals later in the film. Hope this makes sense to you. Love the show. Thanks."
Nope. And I appreciate that, but nope. Again, I will say this. Sit down and watch the scene that happens after the explosion between Alfred and Bruce. Now, here's the exercise for you. Wipe out anything else you have in your head. Like wipe away any other previous things you think about the movie at that point and just watch that scene. And when you watch that scene, strictly based on that scene, ask yourself the question. In watching that scene and hearing what Bruce says, was Bruce trying to save Rachel or was Bruce trying to save Harvey Dent? It's clear. Like it's not even disputable. If you watch that scene, it is clear that he thought the most important thing, the hero the city needed, he needed to save Dent, and he was torn up that he only half was able to save him. And he didn't lament that he never says, I got tricked out of saving Rachel. He never says, I tried to save Rachel. He only asks, do you think the fact that I'm a crime fighter has led to her dying? And again, I would say, I don't think any rational person, if you sit down and just watch that scene and then ask the question, now that you've heard this scene, who is he trying to save? It is clear he made the decision to go and save Harvey. Now, it's all up to your own interpretation, of course. It's all up to your individual interpretation. But to me, that scene put a definitive explanation point on it. There's no way to interpret around it. If that scene wasn't there, if that immediate scene wasn't there, I think it's a much bigger question. But that scene makes it crystal clear. Like no room for interpretation or debate. That scene to me settles it. Anyway, that's just me. All right. What's next? We only got a few minutes left.
Can I just say this is the new is the Rabbit Mephisto? This Batman discussion. All right. This is coming from Cameron Drosty. Last name pronounced like Frosty, but with a D. To the comment yesterday of the plot hole in Justice League. In Man of Steel, the Kryptonian ship had been trapped in ice for 20,000 years and showed a busted capsule eluding a Kryptonian hiding. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Somewhere on Earth, the battle with the mother boxes happened around 3000 BC. So the mother boxes thought he was hiding the Kryptonian. Realized as typing this that it's still a hole because why not since two and with one dead, still one there.
Okay, so one of the things that I really did enjoy about Zack Snyder's cut was the whole idea at the very beginning that it was the death of Superman that awoken the mother boxes because they allude in the movie that Superman being there, the mother boxes knew that dude can stop us, so we got to stay quiet. And then him dying is what brought them back to... Of course, the plot hole with that is the mother boxes have been on Earth for 1,000 years or thousands of years, long before Superman was ever here. So why didn't they wake up before Superman arrived?
Yeah.
So that's the question. Now, the empty pod, the answer to that question was addressed in a prequel comic book. I know this sounds stupid, but a prequel comic book to Man of Steel that showed that Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, was actually in that other pod.
Oh.
In Man of Steel, when Superman arrives, finds his family's ship, the Kryptonian ship.
Okay.
He sees one pod with a withered body in it and another pod that was open and empty. In the prequel comic, we learned that that was actually Kara Zor-El, who survived the crash, and all we see in the comic book is she got out of the pod and wanders off. Then we never see what happens to her after that. So they again allude back to that in Justice League again. So, I mean, that's what, and hey, there may be something to that, Cameron. There might be something to that. You never know. All right, what's next?
All right, this is from Alan Dale. John, Black Widow will cost €20, roughly, in the UK for premiere access. Cinemas open in May over here. 2 tickets for Cineworld is roughly $25 at peak time, plus snacks equals $35. To me, John, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to cinema to watch it. Super screen and sound.
Yeah, see, this is just the thing to me. I will pay $30. If I'm going to pay $30 to see a movie, I want the theatrical experience.
Yeah.
I want to get together with my friends. I want a night out. I want to be in a theater with a bunch of other movie fans. I want to have that big shared experience. I want all that. I got no problem paying for that experience. If you want me to pay for that and just do what I did last night, so I'm going to sit in the same couch
staring
and I watch
at your laundry.
YouTube videos, staring at my laundry.
Yes.
And just pop on my TV. So I'm going to pay the money, but not get the theatrical experience. No, thank you. No, thank you. That model does not work for me. Now, I'm not saying just because it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for others. For example, you got 5 kids. And, so taking yourself, maybe your partner, and 5 kids to the movies, well, now you're talking about $80, $90 to go to the movies. You got to, okay, for other people, different circumstances, different, better solutions. I get that.
I can put you in timeout. I can put her back in the crib. Like, yeah. Me, I get that. Yeah.
Just for me, if I'm going to pay that kind of money, even if I have to pay a little bit more money, I want the proper theatrical experience. I want a night out of the house. I want to get together with my friends or family. I want to go have that big shared experience in a proper movie theater with a big screen and big sound. That's just me. Now, I'm not saying that applies to everybody. It certainly doesn't. Just talking for myself. That's why I'm not planning on paying for $30 premiere access. Now, granted, I'm going to be given a press screening of Black Widow, so I know that. But if not, I probably wouldn't pay $30 to watch it. Not at home. I'd be going out to the theater to go see it, which is what I intend to do. I'm going to go to the theaters to see it in the first run. All right, what's next?
Mikey Roberts Meyer Burnett says, John, the Barry Iris scene in Snyder Cut showed Barry's struggles and his morals.
No, it didn't.
Even though he doesn't abuse his gift. He chooses honor, even if he barely makes ends meet. You loved that exact thing in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Why not here?
Okay, false equivalency. Those two things were not similar in any way, shape, or form. Look, my problem with it's a juxtaposition of 2 different scenes in Snyder Cut. One, we have Cyborg with the waitress scene.
Loved it. Yep.
One, we have the Barry Allen in the dog walking scene with with the let me touch your face scene. Okay. One scene with Cyborg completely changes the way we perceive that character. Because in both, I've said this before, I'll say it again. In both the theatrical version and in Snyder Cut's version, Cyborg comes across as a mopey, feeling sorry for himself, bitter little emo. That's how he comes across. He came across that way in the theatrical cut. Yeah. He comes across that way in the Snyder Cut. Except in the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder puts in this scene where with Cyborg and the waitress that shows us Cyborg's heart, his character, his priorities, what's important to him, how he views other people, and how he views the world. That one scene changes the way we see every other scene in the movie with Cyborg. Now, because we've seen that scene with the waitress, I don't see a mopey, feeling sorry for himself, little emo dick. Because he looked like he was acting just like a dick. Wonder Woman, you got to help us. No, F the world. Yeah. And he flies away, right? But because of that scene, instead of seeing a mopey feeling sorry for himself, whatever, we see a good man in pain. We see a hero struggling with the hand that life has dealt him.
Mm-hmm.
It fundamentally changes everything.
Finding a way to make the most of it.
Yes. It changes the entire way we see that character for everything we saw happen to him before that scene and everything we see happen to him afterwards. Yeah. It changes the way we see that character. And so that scene was pivotal and vital and extraordinary. The Barry Allen scene with Iris was none of those things. Follow me here. We learned nothing new about Barry in that scene. Nothing in that scene changed the way we saw him portrayed in the rest. I mean, it didn't. Seeing that scene, which wasn't in the theatrical version, didn't change the way that I perceived this Flash character. I see him completely differently now. No. The Cyborg scene did that.
Yeah.
The Barry scene did not do that. Also,
a little more the same.
Yeah. And the Barry scene did not progress the story of the movie either. The narrative of the movie of Justice League was not progressed by that scene with Barry Allen.
No.
It didn't need to be there. There was no reason. The waitress scene with Cyborg, tons of reasons, and it was needed. The Barry Allen scene, there was no reason for its existence. It wasn't a bad scene. I'm not saying it was a bad scene. It was a funny scene. I liked it. But was it needed? Did it serve a purpose? The answer to both of those questions is no. Especially when you juxtapose it against that Cyborg scene, which was so impressive. So anyway, that's just the way I see it. And in the conversations I've had with a lot of people, I've been getting a lot of, yeah, but I really like the scene. Oh, I'm not saying there wasn't things to like about it, but in a 4-hour movie, did it need to be there? Did it fundamentally change anything about the way we perceive Barry that we didn't already perceive him from the theatrical version? No, it didn't. Victor's did. Mm-hmm. And that to me that's why to me, the best scene.
Victor was like the hero of the movie.
He is. It puts him at the heart of the story.
Absolutely.
The best scene in the Snyder Cut is still absolutely Superman taking the shot from Steppenwolf and saying, I'm not impressed. But the most important scene in the Snyder Cut, the most important one, was that extraordinary scene of Victor with the waitress. That kind of represents the difference between the theatrical and anyway, sorry, I went off on that too long. That was just me. All right, what's next?
Kung Fu Hot Dog says, hi, John. Just watched your AMC episode on how to start on YouTube.
Oh, good.
Should have been 4 hours long. How do you find transitioning from a home studio to a professional setup like Collider? How confident do you feel chairing Comic-Con panels in front of large audiences?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know what Kung Fu Hot Dog's talking about, 6 years, I still can't believe it's 6 years ago now. 6 years ago, I put together like a 2-hour video on getting started in blogging, podcasting, YouTubing, right? I need to update it. Like I totally know I need to update that video, but all the principles are still the same. So whenever people ask me, hey, John, I'm getting started on a podcast or YouTube channel, what would you recommend?
You should do one of those master classes.
Maybe
you know how they got the voiceover lady, they got, Natalie Portman, and then John Campea.
Maybe I should do a master class.
I'm putting it in the universe for you,
I have taken 3 different YouTube channels to over 200,000 subscribers and 3 different times.
Damn, homie.
So, I mean, maybe I should, but I often just say, hey, if you really want to see, just go and check out that video. The difference, here's the thing that I found, like going from movie blog, right? Like which was my blog, and where I did my first podcast was on my website, the movie blog, that I don't own anymore. When I transitioned into AMC and I started building stuff with AMC, the only real difference, I try to keep the exact same philosophy. The only difference is having to deal with more people. And honestly, other than the fact that I had to deal with people and deal with more people, everything, I kept the philosophy exactly the same, which is why when I transitioned from Collider to just doing myself, you can tell I'm still just doing my basic philosophy. I just don't have to deal with as many people. And, you know, I've often been asked, now you, Kimberly, are a treasure and I love having you here. But that being said, you know, a lot of people have asked me over the years, hey, John, you should build another thing like you did with AMC and Collider. You should like have panels with 4 or 5 people and you should build this huge staff. And people get surprised when I say, hell no. I really don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah?
I never want to do that again.
Really?
I am very happy not having 20 people working for me. I'm very, very happy about it. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it was a joy and a delight. And
with much power comes great responsibility, John.
I treasure a lot of the relationships that I had, and every single person I've ever worked with has in some way, shape, or form, I think, made me better at what I do. But having to deal with that number of people, all with different personalities, all with different issues, all with whatever, that is part of it that I just have no desire. I remember one time me and Dennis Zen were sitting down. At this point, I think we had like 22, 23 employees. I can't remember. Wow. And Dennis and I were sitting down doing like a weekly meeting that we would have, going over a lot of the administrative issues. Okay, we got to do this. We got, this about, somebody coming in to talk about retirement plans, and we got to do this with our administration and this and I remember, I've told the story before, Dennis and I just kind of looked at each other, because Dennis was like one of the first guys with me when I started AMC. It was like me, Dennis, Jennings, Roth Cornett. It was just us. And me and Dennis looked at each other just like, remember when we just talked about movies? Remember that? That was fun. That was fun.
I can understand that. Wow.
And I have not revealed this before. In the past 18 months, I'll say 18 months, there are 2 very significant companies that asked me to come and try to build what I had built at AMC and at Collider. Wow. 2 companies you would instantly know the name of. And wow. I've talked to, like, Harloff knows who they are. I've talked to Harloff, and I've talked to Dennis knows who they are. I've talked to some other people. They know who it is when I was seeking advice about what I should do. And at the end of the day, it was just like, I don't want to do that again. I just generally don't like people. I like having
How do you really feel?
I just like having small amounts. I like having small circles.
Yeah,
I really do. And the Kung Fu Hot Dog was asking, how do I feel about chairing Comic-Con panels in front of large audiences? Here's the weirdest thing about me. I am far more comfortable being in front of 6,000 people at Hall H in Comic-Con, which I've done. I've had the privilege of doing a few times, and at my annual panel every year. I feel way more comfortable standing on a stage in front of thousands of people than I do standing in a circle of 10 people talking to people I don't know. I'm just very socially awkward.
Wow.
I am.
That's very interesting.
I'm very.
But you know what?
Awkward.
I commend you for being in charge of your own piece. Because making a choice to not take whoever offered you those jobs, that's a decision to be in charge of your own piece.
Yeah, and
sometimes you gotta choose.
And again, like it's not that I do not like people. Like I think all people are bad. It's just that because I am so socially awkward, I don't like how I feel. I think that's really more an extension of it. Now we're getting deep. I think what it is not that I don't like people. It's that I don't like how aware I am of how socially awkward I am and how uncomfortable I am around other people, because I feel like I need to perform, or I feel like I need to and this goes into trauma I've had throughout my life.
Let's go back to when you were 10. Let's start there, John.
Yes, I don't like being around a lot of people, not because other people are asses, but it's because I don't like how I feel, because I know how insecure and how socially awkward I am, which is weird for a lot of people, because when you just see me in front of a camera, you think,
because you're talking to so many people.
F the world. But the reality is, I struggle with a lot, of that stuff. And I do. So if you are somebody that struggles with that, you are not alone. Like I totally feel that too. So I actually am very, very, very happy doing what I'm doing with a small group of people that I really like. And it's just, it's a much better life for me.
Man, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. That's what it's knowing yourself and putting yourself in the best atmosphere. Because everyone's like, I want to be rich and famous. I want to be rich and famous. I want to have people know me and people. Not everyone is the same.
Yeah.
And find your peace, man. Find your zen.
All right, we got time for one more question today. What's
Good
next?
on ya. Ryan Launer says, one really weird bit from the X-Men movies that no one ever talks about. 57-year-old Brian Cox talks to also 57-year-old Bruce Davidson like Senator Kelly's some young hotshot upstart. It's not even like Davidson looks at all young for his age.
First of all, one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. But you're right. There is that scene where he's like, I was pulling black ops when you were suckling on your mama's teat or something, some kind of line like that.
Oh, yeah,
and
I remember that.
They were the same age.
It's like,
they were the same age.
What the hell kind of childhood do you think I had, bro? Like,
but it just harkens back to like when you go back to like
that's so funny.
90210, right? When you go back to shows like 90210, the original 90210.
Yeah.
Well, like the one girl in 90210,
Andrea
playing. I don't remember.
Yeah, glasses, curly hair, Andrea.
She was 28 years old. I think I remember hearing she was supposed to be a high school student. She was like 28 years old, playing that in the sort of in that role. So
yep.
I don't know.
That actually is really funny now that Ryan, that you bring it up. That's actually funny. They weren't even that different. He's like, look here, child.
All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and being part of our show. Listen, there's still a lot more questions to come. We'll get to those in an upcoming companion video. Don't you guys worry. Every one of these questions that got sent in are going to get answered. So thank you guys for sending them in. But for now, that will do it for us. I want to thank, of course, Kimberly Curran for being here today. You are a delight.
Thank you,
Kimberly.
sir.
Thanks for being here. Where can people find you online?
I'm on Instagram at Was Good Kimberly. It's WUZ Good KIMBERLY.
All right, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You guys can, of course, follow me on my social media outlets, all of them, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, simply at John Campea. That's where you can find me. Guys, thank you so much for those of you who sent in the live comments and questions and tips. And don't worry, we will get to every single one that came in for two reasons. Number one, you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us here are very, very thankful for that support, guys. Remember, everybody, do the four main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please take care of the people around you. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.